Hey, how you know? Yeah, I'm getting ready to right now. Where you at? I said, where y'all at? Yeah, I'm at the house. I'm getting ready to go now. I'm getting ready to do it now. I said I'm about to now. Right. Yeah, I talked to her. Yeah, I talked to her the other day. It's just if whatever. It's my wife's birthday, so it's like whatever she want to do. Yeah. 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 Pretty much. I said pretty much. It's whatever that y'all want to do. So just let me know. We'll make it happen. Yeah. I said just let me know, man. We'll make it. It'll go. We can make it happen. Ain't no problem. Yeah, I know. How much it cost? I said how much it cost? Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I understand. I understand. I understand. Peace, everybody. A good day. Friday, my day off. I know some people just got their day started. Some people finished their day. Some people do 4 days a week. However it is, you get your bag. Peace and blessings to everybody on Friday, Holy Day, Juma, or just blessings and blissness to everyone. But I want to share a good topic with my brothers and sisters today. Are you still there, bro? Alright. But I wanted to share a topic with everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. I had two things going on at one time, so apologies. But I just want to talk about different crafts of Islam. It's just like in different crafts, or could I say, biblical understanding of Christendom, how in ancient times you had Coptic Christianity. In one dispensation you had Zoroastrianism. And then we talk about understanding the three monotheistic religions per se, which is the triple rose, the Paraclete, the Fatimid, the Jerusalem per se, where you come to a higher level of understanding, but also when we get into understanding the eso and the exoteric of everything, and even why people say you shouldn't do things, or maybe they can't explain it, and maybe the reason why they don't want you to gravitate to higher wisdom or understanding is because their level of understanding is at their level, you know? And so when we relate these things to crafts and higher science, and I think, well, not think, I understand when your close companions in the biblical scriptures, like the Jacobites or any other Islamic teachings, you were, how can I say, learned in the esoteric and the exoteric understanding. The same way you would be biblically. The same way in the biblical scriptures, the high priest wore turbans with the jewel on it. So, it's a synchronicity in both crafts that should be illuminated, you know? And I just come from a perspective where I don't want science or any type of biblical misunderstanding, or if people say they understand it, to use it as a tool to separate when it shouldn't be used like that. Especially when religious people that look like you think these so-called figures in each so-called religious book, they're not different figures. I don't care if you say I don't care if you say Abraham or Abraham. You know, I don't care if it's spelled any difference. It's the same figure. So that's all I try to share with my brothers and sisters as we do this work, as I continue to travel. I said the things that we talk about get picked up in different houses of wisdom. And I tell people you can't play a color game at this level of life. It's just a misunderstanding sometimes. And so I don't mind people asking me. I just got off the phone with my dad and we was having a conversation on Islam and Christianity and the type of Islam and the type of Christianity, because it's always a type. But from a understanding, when I say the Islam that we teach is peace, the Islam that we teach is understanding, the Islam that we teach is nothing outside of ourselves. The science we use is the biblical scriptures, the Quranic scriptures, to synchronize the teachings. We teach the exoteric and the esoteric, which you may say the general meaning, and then the analogy and the parable and the symbology. Could you say, or would you understand that the Bible is written in analogy, parable, and symbology? You will say yes. So therefore, it must be interpreted in a certain fashion. You can't deny those things. If the Bible is written in a certain way, in a certain fashion, that means it must be interpreted correctly. What I'm saying, and listen closely. When a person say that they can read the net to netter, or they can read these ancient languages, X, Y, Z, if they just professing this, and I'm just asking you yes and a no, and when they're professing this, and then you have the alphabet of what they're professing, and if you just take the time to decipher it, and when you come up and say, well, what you're saying is absolutely wrong, no one can be mad. So I'm just speaking on the level of degree, dealing with those of my Islamic brothers that's on that different level. Excuse me. Excuse me, y'all. But I'm giving you a Kemetic perspective. A lot of people say Hermetic, but whatever. I don't want to get into those little semantics per se. But this is a Kemetic or a Hermetic perspective on Islamic traditions. So when we speak on esoteric Islam, it includes the interpretation of Islamic traditions by the use of the Kemetic or the Hermetic arts of astrology and alchemy. Even when I talk about the sephirots and all these things, if brothers and sisters start see connecting the dots, you will see yes, yes, yes. It'll start crossing the dots. You will see some people give you a little bit and then twist it all up in spookism because that's just where the level of wisdom that they may be. Do they are they think they doing some good or do they think they doing some good? Maybe. But when you give credit to an individual that's taken something and perverted it and then don't really tell at all, then it leaves room for error. But to the seeker of the hermetic or the Kemetic wisdom, who follows the limitless path of light and whose spirit ignites the spark of truth. So I just give a little, introduction of this wisdom, not too much, you know. I don't want to stay or go too far over your head. We're going to be teaching and showing some of the mystery, or how can I say, some of the letters of the Quran, which, excuse my pronunciation, I might be pronunciating it a little wrong, but the Huruf al Mikata, you know? And what we're going to do is investigate the letters of the Quran, called the Huruf al Mikata, the Kemetic, the Hermetic arts of astrology. They're all connected, and they're all used to decipher these meanings and potential significance for the human spirit growth. This is when we talk about tools. This is when we talk about, when I talk about the mystery of biblical scripture. When you're able to pull out the esoteric and the exoteric, which a lot of our brothers and sisters just won't tell you about. They may not know, but those the ones that know, they know what I'm saying is truth. This is the esoteric of a lot of things. We do it in the biblical scriptures to show the inner meaning. But we talk about the extraordinary perfection of the design of the universe. Those things have confused and baffled the human intelligence. You know, all these things in the world, but watch as we break something down and show you a good picture of some real science, that you can really look at. Us as humans, we wanted to be the smartest, and all that of everything. But the adapts throughout the ages often use encoded symbols and hieroglyphics in their communications to transmit the insights of wisdom in order to guard them from people with those destructive behaviors. So the realization of extremely intricate and fragile existence of life on this earth, which is also the home of humanity. So when we start talking about things, we're going to talk about the role of this science. It's very, very easy when you sitting in the right house, because it's all like me and my dad was saying, how you going to know other crafts of so-called martial arts? And I won't say so-called if it's not being taught to you. You might only know one discipline, but there are definite evidence of esoteric teachings in the text of the Quran. And despite of it being studied through all this time, family, many of those teachings still evade proper explanation. An example of these texts is the mystery abbreviated letters of the Quran. Remember, popularly is known as the Huruf al-Muqatta. I might be pronunciating it wrong. Huroof, dash al dash muqattaat. If I might be spelling it wrong, I may. If I might be pronunciating it wrong, I may. But you know what I'm saying. Oh, that's good. That tea is good, good, good. Therefore, in this little demonstration, I want to show you and just give my little explanation, the meanings, in the context of the Quran. And in this little pictorial I'm gonna show, you can look up these things and you can challenge what's been told. Or remember, I always say, if you have the alphabet of anything, of any language or anyone saying, you can take the time to do what? Decipher the words that have been used. I've showed this a plethora of times when different languages and different metanetters and showing that the YHWH on the Egyptian coffins and all this stuff. When you have the alphabet of certain languages, you can decipher it. If this symbol, this is symbolized this letter, X Y Z, and blah they split per se. But you can have that if you have the alphabet of that language. There's no doubt of that, no matter what you believe or may not believe, And so when you look at those alphabets and those hyphens in the Islam in that text, you see right here with your face what I'm talking about. So when you look at these abbreviations, what do you see? Anybody with their right mind, no matter what you may believe or what you may taught, you can't deny what you can research. This is a part of learning. What? Remember, you learn alphabet. Remember, I say I'm always going to start at a schoolmaster. So what we're doing here is showing you the alphabet of something that I'm explaining, so you can see with your other eye. You can see with your other eye, the pineal gland. One of the other esoteric teachings in the scriptures is the chakras, but that's another teaching when we talk about those colors. But I'm showing you right with the eye. When a person says a mystery or keep you away from things, it can be a mystery. This is a schoolmaster. You see? So, if you see those letters, what they symbolize and what they represent, the Quranic order of the mystery letters, what we just showed, very simple. These so-called mystery letters comprise of the Arabic alphabets mentioned in those, what I just showed you, that pictorial. And though they don't appear in the alphabetical order in the Quran, but are actually stated as prefixes to certain chapters of the book. See, that's very powerful. Throughout the Muslim history, there have been many theories proposed to justify their existence in the Quran. You see, a few have suggested that they were initials of the scribes who had written down the dictations of those chapters, while others commented on them to be some especial mystical significance, which is known only to God himself. That's just like saying when Christian people or anybody, no disrespect, in the biblical scriptures and written in red, that's God's word because it's written in red. But whatever. The letters Alf, Lam, Mem, I synchronized it to the chapters 2, 3, 29, 30, 31, and 32. Alf, Lam, Mem, Sad at chapter 7. Alf, Lam, Ra at chapter 10, 11, 12, 14, 15. Alf, Lam, Mem, Ra at chapter 13. Kaf, Ha, Ya, An, Sad at chapter 19. I mean, I can go on and on putting these scriptures and these symbology to these scriptures. I'm showing you this science, the most prominent Muslim scholar on the interpretation of the Quran. You can look up Allama Abdullah Yusuf Ali explain about these abbreviated letters and its contemporary that certain surahs have certain initials, prefixes to them, which are called the abbreviated letters. A number of conjectures have been made as to their meanings. Opinions are divided as to the exact meaning of each particular letter or combination of letters. And it's agreed that only Allah knows their exact meanings. Their presence is not inconsistent with the character of the Quran as a plain book. The book of nature is also a plain book, but how few can fully understand it? Question mark. Everyone can get out of the Quran's plain guidance for his life according to his capacity for spiritual understanding. as his capacity grows, so will his understanding grow. The whole book is a record for all time. It must necessarily contain truth that only gradually unfold themselves to humanity. You know, and that's you can look these things up if you want to reference in an appendix one in a commentary on the Quran by Alama Abdullah Yusuf Ali, and you can find more, but I'm just giving you one source reference, for study. So let's proceed. There are 29 chapters of the Quran that mention the abbreviated prefixes. The 14 letters out of 28 alphabets of Arabic language are used in different combinations. In those prefixes, among which two pair are homophonic, different glyphs with the same sound, hence making them 12 sound characters in total, because of each homophonic pair of letters here act as one character. You see what I'm saying? So when we talk about this ensuing discussion, that these 12 characters appear in a definite order in the Quran, which corresponds to what, y'all? The 12 astrological signs. Watch. And such that the features of the prefix signatures as astrological signs form the subject of what I'm showing you in association with chapters. So what I'm saying is these abbreviated prefixes summarize the chapters themselves, and letters in the order of appearance in the Quran represents what? The 12 astrological signs. In this context, undeniable, without a shadow of a doubt. The letters are indicated in what I showed you earlier. Remember the letter Alf, the ALIF, remember that? Remember that symbology? That's Aries. That's Aries. And I can show you the same thing in the biblical scripture. The letter Alf appears as a prefix in the beginning of the second chapter of the Quran, and therefore it's the first letter of the Quranic sequence. Astrologically, it refers to the sign of Aries, as it signifies the subject of warfare, where? In the Quran. Also, the fighting war was proclaimed for the first time in this chapter of that Quran, which is akin to the archetype of the sign of Aries. Remember I said the archetype of the signs of Aries. Don't the Quran say warfare is ordained for you, though it is hateful unto you, but it may happen that ye hate a thing which is good for you, and if may happen that ye love a thing which is bad for you, Allah knoweth ye know not. 2 and 16. 2 and 216. That's the steward. Also, another Quranic scholar, if you research, was Muhammad Marduk Pickthall, written the following in his contemporary on this specific chapter that we're discussing. All suggestions to the contrary notwithstanding, it seems probable that the whole of this surah was revealed during the first 4 years after the Hijrah, and that by far the greater portion of it was revealed in the first 18 months of the Prophet's reign at Al-Madinah, that is to say, before the Battle of Badr. The possible necessity of fighting had been foreseen in the terms of the oath taken at Aqaba, by the Muslims of Yathrib before the flight to defend the Prophet as they would their own wives and children. And the first commandment to fight was revealed to the Prophet before his flight from Mecca. But there was no actual fighting by the Muslims until the Battle of Badr. Many of them were reluctant, having before been subject to a rule of strict nonviolence. It was with difficulty that they could accept the idea of fighting, even in self-defense, as can be seen from several verses in the surah, the meaning of the glorious Quran, an explanatory translation by Muhammad Marduk Pickthall. Remember, The letter Aleph, the Aleph, the Alif, is also mentioned in chapter 3 of the Quran. Remember where it says, and remember when thou sittest forth at daybreak from thou housefolk to assign the believers their possessions for the battle. Allah was hearer, knower. 3 and 121. You see, when we can show you higher meaning, why we say we are a school as well, when you can connect teachings, it's a higher wisdom in everything. Watch, when I go to Sacramento, I'm going to show everybody this in Sacramento. When I say it's no faking or nothing, the biblical scriptures attest to everything I'm saying. The Quran, the Bible. Watch this. In verse 3, 121, the mention of daybreak and positions of the battle are the allegorical. Now research what I'm saying. The allegorical reference to the astrological sign of Aries. I gave you all the scriptures. Similar messages are also present with the letter, the Alif, the Elf, in the verse 3 and 13, 3 and 153, 3 and 156 and 158, 3, 167 and 175 of the Quran. Research what I'm telling you. The letter Lam, the Lam, is the Taurus. The letter Lam depicts the sign of Taurus in the Quran. The astrological symbol of Taurus is the bull, and its characteristics include material wealth and abundance. While dealing with the archetypal Taurus, the Quran teaches humans to control their desires of amassing material goods and use their wealth to the service of some nobler objectives. The following verse gives excellent descriptions of signs. I'll give you a clear verse. And when Moses, yes, I always tell my Islamic brothers and sisters, how are you going to diss each other and y'all have the same foremothers and forefathers? I don't care if you say Abraham or Abraham, you spell it a little bit different Islamically. Man, both of them are really, really crazy. But let's stay in context. And when Moses said upon his people, Lo, Allah commandeth you that ye sacrifice a cow, that ye said, do thou make game of us? He answered, Allah forbid that I should be among the foolish. They said, pray for us unto the Lord, that he may clear to us what cow she is. Moses answered, lo, he said, what Moses? You know, like I'm saying, the same Moses you would see in your Bible. Verily she is a cow, neither with calf, nor immature. She is between the two conditions. So do that which ye are commanded. They said, pray for us unto the Lord, that he make it clear to us what color she is. Moses answered, he said, verily, she is a yellow cow, bright is her color, gladness beholds. They said, pray for us, for the Lord make it clear to us what cow she is, you know, blah, blah, blah. She is a cow unyoked. She plunges not the soil, nor water the tilth, whole and without mark. They said, now bring us the truth. So they scattered her through. Almost they did not. That's Surah 2, 67 and 71. You see the similarity. Now in verse 67, Moses asks his people to metaphorically. Now you got to look up what metaphorically means. I'm giving you understanding. So when someone's teaching you something, and when someone's trying to resurrect you from teachings, you have to be willing to do the work. If it's a word that you don't know, and I said, I'm going to show you in the lexicon what it means, you have to be willing to do the work to make simple and make understanding of what it is. So, metaphorically, forego the practices of accumulating wealth by sacrificing a cow, you know, which would symbolize the characteristics of what? Taurus. But in verse 68, the people of Moses contended to defend their practices by asking questions that were meant to examine Moses' knowledge of the sign of Taurus. The people were contending that Moses himself had no wealth. So how could he know the pain of forsaking it? Moses answered that in verse 68 by describing the position of the Taurus in the zodiac by saying that the cow of Taurus was neither with a calf, twin characteristic of Gemini, nor immature, Aries characteristic, rather the sign had to be in between of the Gemini and Aries in verse 69. The yellow color of the cow was described because of it being the color of the metal, copper, of Taurus. And then I show you in the scriptures when it's talking about the pineal, when it's talking about what? Chakras. Furthermore, it is mentioned there, bright is her color, gladdening its beholders, because Taurus is the sign of what? The spring season. As this time also bears blooming and colorful flowers to the gladden the beholders. But still the attachment of people with their wealth was so strong that they contended for more clues per se. And so were answered with the explanation of the element earth of Taurus in verse 71. And it said that the cow was unyoked, meaning Taurus to be a sign of spring season. It did not labor on the earth because the earth was already fertile. And without mark meant that it was a fixed sign that could not be influenced by the changing patterns of the seasons. Such were the descriptions of Taurus that people of Moses were left with no option but to reluctantly, sacrifice the cow. You see, as we breaking these things down and just making it plain, the prefix with the letter LAM, the lamb, the prefix LAM, also appear in other chapters of the Quran, dealing with the archetypal properties of Taurus, such as wealth management, usury, cow worship, greed, materialism. Remember, I broke this down in the biblical scriptures yesterday about not going in debt and all this. I broke this down yesterday. When I say you can get good things out of both, you just have to have a good teacher and someone that's willing to teach and happen to know oath. And then the people must support it. That's the only way. Because the people is the church. I'm telling you, and until we wake up and recognize these things, we'll be woe to sleep. I'm going to play a video before I leave of an elder man saying he was like he wasted all his years going to church. And he said he could have been helping real people, that really been doing some work and really teaching the right way in XYZ. He said all the money he gave, he was like, why? He was like, all the money. He's like, what do you know now? And then I got a couple older people that deal with me. But it was just ironic that another elder, somebody that I deal with, sent this to me. So I'm going to share that at the end. It's very funny. But you can find all this stuff in the Quran. Ayat 254, 2 and 57, 2 and 61, 2, 168, 7, Ayat 2, 271, and 276. It's just a few. I don't want to go too far. But the letter MIM or the Mem is Gemini. The letter MIM or Mem is used to indicate the sign of Gemini in the Quranic chapters. The prefix appears in many chapters, but for the sake of illustration of the archetype Gemini character, the following ritual has been commanded to be performed in the giving verse. Remember, lo, the mountains, Al-Safi, and Al-Marwah are among the indications of Allah. It is so therefore no sin for him who is on pilgrimage to the house of God or visit it to go around them as the pagan custom is. And he who doeth good of his own accord, for him, lo, Allah is responsive, aware. Ayat 2, 158. Remember the mountain's name Al-Safa, the mountain's name Al-Safa family, and Al-Marwa mentioned here, all allegorical. Remember I told you the Bible, the Quran is already an analogy, parable, and symbology. This is an allegorical representation of Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux. Whilst on the pilgrimage to Mecca, Muslims are required to run between these two mountains 7 times for performing the ritual known as the Sai or the Sai, the Sai. The story related to the origin of this ritual says that Abraham, what Abraham? The same Abraham and ain't no other one, had left his wife Hagar with his infant son Ishmael as a spiritual trial for them in the desert. When Ishmael got thirsty and started to cry, Hagar ran from one mountain top to another mountain top in order to catch sight of some passing caravan so as to procure drinking water. This she repeated 7 times before getting back to Ishmael. That's what the story said. Thereby she found that a spring had broken forth from the place where the crying baby kicked the sand with his feet. Interestingly, Ishmael is also mentioned in the Quran to describe the signs of Sagittarius, which is opposite to Gemini. Also, the rapid movement of Hagar between the two mountains is very characteristic of what? Mercury, the ruling planet of Gemini. You see how easy this is? We got the wrong teachers, a lot of our family and friends, to use separation, but a mapping of God and the holy man in the flesh can come illuminate those texts. The Gemini properties with the prefix MIM are also expressed in verse, ayat 2, 102, ayat 2, 221, ayat 3 and 61, ayat 3, 195, ayat 7, 127, ayat 7, 140, 141, ayat 7, 189 and 190. I mean, okay. I can go on with so many ayats, but so many verses. But the letter Sad, the SAD, that's Cancer. I'm showing you all this esoteric meaning, and I can show you this in the Bible. When we talk about the other meaning in the Bible, when they talk about the signs, well, you got to know who those. It was really the Dogon is really the assigns. When you talk about those other people in the Bible, who the Sibyls, who the Sibyls? I show you real history, and then they got all their Moors, they coded on their family crest. When you talk about the ancient church fathers, when you talk about the ancient and modern Britons, who you talk about the Russian icons, who you talk about? It's no doubt all across. And then when I'm talking about the ancient or the esoteric meaning of things, to pull out the things that a person will tell you you can't read it or you can't have it because they wasn't elite, because a certain people were killed for it. No disrespect. The astrological sign of Cancer corresponds to the letter Sad in the Quran. Cancer being at summer solstice, and is ruled by the luminary planet Moon. In astrology, the sun and the moon represents king and queen per se, respectively, and therefore Cancer is also one of the two royal signs. And here, the Quran talks about the ideas to be found in good governments by citing the example of King David. Remember, and hath the story of the litigants come unto thee, how they climbed the wall into the royal chamber, how they burst in upon David, and he was afraid of them. They said, be not afraid, we are two litigants, one of whom hath wronged the other, therefore judge aright between us. Be not unjust, and show us the fair way. Lo, this my brother hath 99 ewes, while I had 1 ewe. And he said, entrust it to me. And he conquered me in speech. David said, he hath wronged thee in demanding thine ewe, in addition to his own ewes. And lo, many partners oppress one another, save such as believe and do good works, and they are a few. And David guessed that we had tried him, and he sought forgiveness of his Lord. And he bowed himself and fell down prostrate and repented. Ayah 38, 21, and 24. All Quran. The two litigants of verse 21 who have broken into the royal chamber. Now I'm telling you allegory. It represents the sign of Aries and Libra. The verse 22 says that the King David, aka Cancer, got afraid of the litigants, Aries and Libra, because those two signs were making a square angle to him. In verse 23, the ooze metaphorically represents the sign of Capricorn, opposite of Cancer. That's my sign. And the litigant with the 99 ooze is Aries, while the one with a single ooh is Libra. The Aries with assertive and aggressive attitudes was trying to rob Libra, even of a single ooh that it possessed. So then you got in verse 24, David, aka which is Cancer, used his royal authority to admonish Aries with regards to his behavior, and also recognize the importance and the responsible use of the power from this episode. That's why when I tell people, when we come together, when two or more come together, the magic happens so fast. When I tell people the only way things can be big or magnanimous is they always have to start with the people. And when we understand what we're doing, it can't be stopped. It can't be stopped because we're giving it away. I'm telling you, the characters of the Cancer correspond to the letter Sad, are also present in the verses. Ayat 7, 94 and 102, Ayat 7, 106 and 108, Ayat 7, 145 and 146, Ayat 7, 157. I can go on and on and on. The letter Ra is the Leo. Remember, the letter Ra of the Arabic language depicts the sign of Leo in the Quran. The sign of Leo is ruled by the sun, as the choice of the word Ra. Here is interesting since it is also the name of ancient Egyptian solar deity. The word appears in connections to the story of Joseph. Joseph where? In your Bible and in the Quran. The story says that Joseph was the brightest among his brothers, right? Who out of jealousy were inclined to place him in the pit, right? The Quran says, when Joseph said unto his father, O my father, lo, I saw in a dream 11 planets and the sun and the moon. I saw them prostrating themselves unto me. He said, O my dear son, tell not thy brethren of thy vision, lest they plot a plot against thee. Lo, Satan is for man, an open foe. Ayat 12, 4 and 5. Don't that sound familiar? Don't that sound like your Bible too? I'm sure it do. In the verse 4 and 5, Joseph, aka Leo, told his father, who? The son, that he saw 11 planets. That metaphorically, now I'm going back to this metaphorically, I'm giving you esoteric meanings. Metaphorically represents 11 astrological signs, his brothers beside Leo himself. It is good to understand that the Greek mythology, the sun god Apollo, had been attributed with the characteristics of prophecy and vision. Apollo was known to be an oracle god, and as a patron of Delphi, was responsible for the Delphic oracle, right? The following visionary attributes of Joseph are also mentioned in the Quran. So when they trying to separate things, I was like, you can't. O Lord, thou hast given me something of sovereignty and hast taught me something of interpretation of events. Creator of the heavens and earth, thou art my protecting friend in the world and thereafter. Make me to die submissive unto thee and join me to the righteous. Ayat 12, 102. Also, the ability of Joseph to impart vision in darkness is described in the following verse. Go with this shirt of mine, Joseph, and lay it on my father's face. He will become again a seer and come to me with all your folk. Ayat 1293. Then when the bearer of glad tidings came, he laid it on his face, and he, Joseph's father, became a seer once more. He said, I not unto you that I know from Allah, that which ye not know. Ayat 1296. Joseph became a lord in Egypt, which was acknowledged as the archetypal land of the kings at that time. Once together again with his father, he realized that his earliest dream had come to its realization. And when they came in before Joseph, he took his parents unto him and said, come into Egypt safe, if Allah will. And he placed his parents on the dais, and they fell down before him prostrate. And he said, O my father, this is the interpretation of my dream of old. My Lord hath made it true, and he has shown me kindness, since he took me out of the prison, and hath brought you from the desert, after Satan hath made strife between me and my brethren. Lo, my Lord is tender unto whom he will. He is the knower, the wise. Ayat 1299 and 100. The letter Kaf, or the KAF, or the QAF, that's Virgo. The letter Kaf corresponds to the sign of Virgo, and it expresses in the Quran with a classic allegory of the mutable signs. Mary is the following story of the Quran represents Virgo as being a virgin. She is responsible for the immaculate conception of who? Jesus, aka Yahshua the Messiah. You know what immaculate conception is? Man having impregnating his wife and 9 months baby. That's immaculate conception. And make mention of Mary in Scripture when she had withdrawn from her people to a chamber looking east and had chosen seclusion from them. Then went, then we sent unto her our spirit, and it assumed for her the likeness of a perfect man. She said, Lo, I seek refuge in a beneficent one from thee, if thou art God fearing. He said, I am only a messenger of thy Lord, that I may bestow on thee a faultless son. She said, How can I have a son when no mortal has touched me, neither have I been unchaste? He said, So it will be. The Lord said, It is easy for me, and it will be, that we may make of him a revelation for mankind, and a mercy for us. And it is a thing ordained. And she conceived him, and she drew with him to a place, and the pangs of a child drove her until the trunk of the palm tree. She said, Oh, what would I have died, ere this had become a thing of naught, forgotten. Then one cried unto her from below her, saying, Grieve not, thy Lord has placed a rivulet beneath thee, and shake the trunk of the palm tree toward thee. Thou wilt cause ripe dates to fall upon thee. So eat and drink, and be consoled. And if thou meetest any mortal, say, Lo, I have vowed a fast unto the beneficent, and may not speak to this day to any mortal. That's Quran. Ayat 19, 16 and 26. Don't that sound familiar? Now, let me break it down in the science. Verse 16 of that verse I just gave, it indicates that this story is regarding the sign of Virgo at the time when it arises at the eastern horizon. Remember, the trunk of the palm tree in verse 23 is a metaphorical reference to the mutable cross, compromising of the sign of Virgo, Gemini, Pisces, and Sagittarius. In verse 24, one cried unto her from below. One cried unto her from below is Sagittarius. Rivulet beneath is Pisces. Ripened dates of the verse 25 is a reference to the sign of Gemini. Whilst Mary herself is a metaphor for the sign of Virgo. Also, family, in verse 26, the Mary, aka Virgo, gets her food from Gemini, her water from Pisces, and her constellation from Sagittarius. I'm telling you, the letter Kaf or QUAF or KAF also described with the Virgo characteristics in the verses ayat 42 and 20, 42 and 27, 42 and 37, 50 and 6, 59 and 10 of your Quran. The letter Ha, H-A, or Libra, expresses the Libra archetype of justice, good behavior in your Quran. It's emphasized very strongly at many places as the most important and indelible principle in nature, using the inquisious and admonished of a blazing fire as their punishment, which is the element of the opposite sign of Aries. You got to understand that the day when the enemies of Allah are gathered unto the fire, they are driven out, till when they reach it, their ears and their eyes and their skins testify against them. I mean, I'll have to go on with the verse, ayat 41, 19 and 22. But in that verse, when you're looking at it at a close eye, verse 19 and 22 is an example of the self-evident demonstration of the divine justice in nature. Verse 19 of that Quran, by mentioning the phased enemies of Allah, is also making a political standpoint against those collectivist groups who use ideologies or slogans to indoctrinate the ignorant masses of people. These masses then act as a mammoth creature, aka a state, with its own currency, aka blood, and social structure, aka body. Once the head of this creature gets drugged, then the body can be can be compromised or paralyzed per se. And therefore those body parts act as witnesses against the head. The themes of justice are also expressed in these verses. Ayat 42 and 32 and 34, 42, 40 and 30. And similarly in the following verses. Whoso doeth right, it is for his soul. And whoso doeth wrong, it is against it. And afterward, until you, Lord, you will bring back. Lord, you will be brought back. Ayat 45 and 15. So it's so much. You know, I don't want to go so far, but it's so much when people come to you the wrong way. Even the sign of Scorpio is depicted in the Quran with the letter Ya, Y-A. Astrologically, Scorpio, on the one hand, deals with the extreme human behaviors, such as sex, subversion, death, destruction, all that. All of your Quran, when you read Ayat 36 and 41 and 45, and verse 41 and 44 can be called the euphemistic descriptions of human sexuality. In verse 41, the Latin ship, that's a metaphor for a mother's womb. Verse 42 says that the babies, the mothers, are in the same state as on a sailing ship. And verse 43, 44 state that due to the watery environments of the mother's womb, the babies could also be made to drown. The verse 45 relates to the guidance for humans to be aware of the Scorpio attitudes in life. Read Ayat 36 and 77 to 79. When it says, "Has not man seen that we have created him from a drop of a seed?" Read that for yourself. And then when you get into 77 and 79, you see the positive attributes of Scorpio as being a sign of rebirth, regeneration. Your Bible talks about this. I can go all through your astrological signs, but it'll take me a minute. But I hope I'm painting a picture for you. I'm hoping people are interested, because this was just conversations that I was having, with people and family earlier about movements and about anything that started had a beginning. And where things start, that's not where they end. And I always tell people, when you see a lot of things and movements a lot of times, you wonder why a lot of those movements, they don't have all their family and this and that and the other. And, because, some family may think they know more or blah, 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 which that's fine, but we just having conversation, because I don't want to teach too long. I always encourage brothers and sisters to come to class and subscribe to our temple and school. Hit us up. Come to the systematic classes. I just do this at my free time on this page. But I really challenge brothers and sisters to really sit down and see what history and science is really about, especially if we have children, especially if we have mixed children. I have one of my muftis, he has a mixed family, and he knows and understands the importance of teaching his children who they are, just like anything in life. And, I just think it's an important time to do these things, especially if brothers and sisters can sit in front of you and say, yes, they down with reparations. And then I say, if you down with reparations, I'll ask every misnomer black person, well, if you down with reparations, tell me some bullets how misnomer black people can get reparations. And what are the solutions? Because if a person don't know the solutions or may talk about things and that's not really valid, I think your perspective should be illuminated. And I think you should want to know. And I think the only way change can happen is when it happened universally, awesome things like that. Knowing history, knowing your nationality and spirituality, lawfully, learning these things, re-education, as Carter G. Woodson said. Seeing things that you may never heard of, putting things in right in front of your face. I can show brothers and sisters some science that's taught in Oxford and Harvard and Princeton about science, by Charles A. Wiseman, about how the laws are and how things are set up. It'll go way over people's head. But your sons and your daughters and the elite know this. And that's why I said the things that I've learned, the things that I went academia, the extra brotherhoods and the extra learning that I've been introduced to, I try to bring it back to our community before, I won't say compromise, but before I do other things for funding, just like every other person would do. I'm just in a position where I don't have to be compromised like that yet. That's all I'm saying. And I love doing what I do. But when I explain things to brothers and sisters, I say, when you look at things, you can ask anyone that knows tax law, any tax professional. We're not getting a tax return. You're getting a small percentage back of money that Uncle Sam gave you. Look how much Uncle Sam took out you from the whole year, and then look at your return. You have every right to donate to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. That's why all rich people, all politicians, they have nonprofits. I teach this to brothers and sisters, but it go over a lot of people's head. A person can use that same money that you're giving to Uncle Sam willingly, cipher some of it to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice, get a taxes and receipt, and you can really build infrastructure. Where? Right in your community. You can own homes. You can have shelters for young women, for young boys. You can have houses for educators like myself that know how to work with kids with ADHD and all that, that's licensed behavioral health therapists. We can really do things on our own. Why? Because we can. Because a lot of times we get diagnosed by the wrong people. And it's no disrespect to anyone. When I'm saying about our tax dollars, when I say we tax them from the federal government, religious and charitable and scientific, that's what I say when you have the right to use those dollars to support your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. And all right, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. And those are just some simple things as we sit and have these conversations, because we like to talk about things that can really make change. So if anyone that's following me, family or friends, I'm sure you're down with reparations. And then I'll ask a person, well, how do you think misnomer black people would get reparations? You telling me we don't want to have that conversation? You telling me we want to have that conversation with just some lawyer or some attorney, no disrespect, that won't even tell us the truth? Because I'm telling you, we can have a conversation with the attorney, Ben Crump, that guy that always defending each one. And I'm coming from love. And I bet you he can't deny what I'm saying, because he'll be proven false. Everything that he's saying, everything that he'll be saying, I'll be able to destroy when you come with that black stuff, when you come with that person stuff, when you come with any of that 14th Amendment Negro stuff, any of those things, he'll be out of his jurisdiction when we're talking about law and policy. He might be licensed, but that don't mean that don't mean nothing of his expertise in this field, your competence. And when you're dealing with a referee or someone that's judging with the facts, the letters behind your name is irrelevant. When it comes to defending yourself in a court of law, you just have to be competent. So when I challenge all my brothers and sisters and family when they say that Black Lives Matter stuff, and I always just say, how so? And I say, they ask me, are you down with reparations? I say, absolutely, I'm down with reparations. I'm down with reparations just like you. But then I said, misnumbered black peoples would never get reparations, identifying as something that's civil mortis, something that's according to science and law means death. So how something that's dead and only as old as the United States of America is going to get something? I ask my brothers and sisters that. They can't even answer that. They can't even answer it. You know? Okay. That's all I ask brothers and sisters when they come and they be upset. And I say, well, why are you upset? When I say black lives don't matter, and when I say black is an adjective, when I shown this, when I tell people I've done this in academia, when I show people we can build our own thing, how? Because we giving our money away to Uncle Sam. We can build our own institution, our temple, school, church, whatever you want to call it, with the money we giving Uncle Sam. Because we're tax exempt for the federal government, religious, charitable, contribution, educational wise. So all our people that's working can donate, and you can get a tax exempt receipt. Now, going further with that, certain states allow you to give a certain percentage of your earned income before taxes. I'll give you an analogy. If you in Florida, I mean in California, and you a basketball player, you say you make 10 million a year, you owe Uncle Sam a million. You can give 60% of that. So you can give 600,000 to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. You can give more if you want to, but just that basic legality you can. So when all the NBA days over, all is over, you will have some infrastructures in your communities. You won't be tax evading as a lot of these players do. You won't be having some financial manager that just cipher money to their organization and they tell you you paying your taxes. You may be, but you're financing something else. You're financing some organization that's going to be successful for when your kid generation, they kid generations, and your kid's not going to be attached to it. Why? Because it ain't nothing that you're going to be attached to. Your face might be on there for a minute in your playing days, but after that it's over. You're not gonna have nothing to help no one in your community. Why? Because no money's gonna be there. And this is what I'm showing people, an opportunity that's being presented in front of me as I'm able to deal with different type of people. And I come here and I talk to my people and I'm telling people like, listen, it's gonna happen. It's getting ready to happen. Why? Because the blueprint is there. People don't understand this. When I talk about, do y'all know how the Sopranos were set up and how everything was ran through the church? When I tell people black preachers don't have lawyer and client confidentiality, you get subpoenaed. So when I speak of things, I speak of real results. When I use vernacular of religious community, when I talk about those religious figures in communities mean so much. Your religious rights of the indigenous people. Me and my dad were just having this conversation. The laws are set up in a way to say if you ain't gonna do it the way that you know you can do it based on the laws, well, you're gonna give it to us, and we gonna just sit it in the private banking system. When a person says, what is a private banking system? A private banking system is just where the money sit, be used for whatever. Like the Vatican is a private banking system. I'm set up as a private banking system, per se. The money that go for taxes don't go to the United States of America. If you think it did, what you think the lotto is all about? Why people still live in the neighborhoods? Why things so messed up? It's very simple. It's very simple. And so when I talk about things, especially families and people that want to start things, and they say, well, I don't have the money and this, and that, and the other, I say, yes, you do. If you're working, you just don't realize it. If you were, how can I say, educated or re-educated, what I'm saying, the matter factualness of what I'm saying, you'll be like, oh, this is too simple to do. Everyone would say this is too simple to do because you wouldn't have to do nothing extra. Think about what I'm saying. All you would be doing is like, okay, I'll do it myself. You'll be like, well, I want this to go here. You can do it yourself. Now, another aspect, a lot of people file exempt for a amount of time. But when you already a part of something, organization, listen to the vernacular, a religious organization that's tax exempt for the federal government, you can be giving those things to that religious organization and you get a tax exempt receipt. See, that's how you can build infrastructure. Who? Everybody in your community, everybody in that small area. How? Can build something and get a tax exempt receipt. It's that simple if the mission is real. And that's why I'm showing people as I'm dealing with different professors and different alumni, the school I graduated from, and things is picking up as I'm beginning to speak. And a lot of college students that I've helped graduate is asking for me to speak in different backgrounds. And I tell people I'm in Arizona. So the places I'm going is not melanated. I just have to be 100% straight up. Now I'm from the city of Flint, Michigan. That's why I'm telling my brothers and sisters, the people that you think heavy is not heavy. Especially when I talk about the ones that don't look like you, and even the ones that do look like you, that took an oath, you should be ashamed that they making this a mockery. Especially when it comes down to freedoms. And so I always challenge my brothers and sisters. I say, how long are we going to be denied to say we can't? And when we have something good in our own family, it's gonna bring so much. It's gonna bring so much to the community. How? Just off the dollars that we give Uncle Sam. That's how. That's how easy it can be. When I tell people, I say, man, we can make this happen. How? Because we're giving our money to Uncle Sam. I mean, we can have educational house. We can have skills setting. We can have young boys and girls club, athletics, those that deal with special needs, agriculture, eating right, cooking classes, all these things, mentoring, all these things that come with what? Our tax dollars, with our culture, saying, wait a minute, we just not gonna give these away and then let people make decisions with something that we gave away willingly. Willingly. And all we have to do is wake up. That's why I say the churches are not poor. Those people are just using it for their own gain. The church is taxes in for the federal government. So most things that the church gets, especially the pastor, it's no taxes. Now, if the pastor was just, the people should be able to use that the same way as the church do. Like for instance, my little group I had in Arizona, I had registered us at Fry's. So anytime anybody go to Fry, they use our tax exempt status, it's no taxes. And so every quarter, they'll release that tax to us. It's so many other things that come with me, what I know, that bring to the table. So many things that I know from experience and from life and operating on my own small budget, being a nonprofit, getting things done, monetary and tangible. Writing these companies, seeing what's going on, seeing how I can get tickets to take 100 kids to the Phoenix Suns game, seeing how I can get these tickets to take these kids to the Arizona Cardinals game, see how I can get these free tickets to take them to the zoo, figuring all that out, seeing how I can get a Gatorade and Adidas to donate monetary or tangible. If they can't donate monetary, can we get some stuff tangible? All these things when we did soccer camps, all these things that come with so-called ministry, and when our family and people donate those tax dollars that we give away willingly to Uncle Sam. When people talk about laws that govern the world, a lot of our family and friends just wasn't educated in it. It's okay. My father was telling, he was like, a lot of stuff I talk about and that he said he went to the university just with me. How? By the conversations and the learning we had. My dad got an advanced degree with me. How? By the conversations that we had. My dad was already educated, but in this specific craft that, we went through that together. And so when I speak on these specific topics and these things that can be done, the people should be like, damn, yes it can. Like, it's nothing set up against us. It's nothing set up against us. Everything is set up for us. We just not using the tools that we have to say, wait a minute, I haven't been educated on this. Like, this make a lot of sense. Let's make it happen. In less than a calendar year, it can happen. I always give numbers. I used to tell people 300 people giving $100 is 300 grand a year. Now you look at that in the city of Flint or in the city of St. Louis where my other mufti at, that's a start. And then people continue to give that consistently. That's a start. Work can be done. Nobody life will change. Why? Because we already given it to Uncle Sam. It's already been took out your check willingly. And most people, when you get a job, it's certain percentages that Uncle Sam take out your check. Some of us let Uncle Sam take the most because you're getting a tax return. And I'm telling you, you're not getting no return on nothing. You are getting a small tittle of what Uncle Sam took out you from that whole base year. The whole thing is to give Uncle Sam less. Taxes are only good for business people and entrepreneurs. I'm sorry. This is what I know because I have a business degree. That's why. And my degree don't mean I'm better than no one. But what my degree means is it's a specific pattern. It's a specific way how things can be done lawfully. And when a person saying someone is doing this, like when people accuse Trump of breaking the law because he don't do this, it ain't no law where he have to do this or that. If it is, then you must show the law. It can't be personal. You can't arbitrarily explain the law based on you feel or how you feel. So if it's a law, then quote the law. Quote the precedent in law. Quote the doc number. Come from the Free Information Act. If something is against the law, or if it is law, if not, then we can just say we don't like how this person is operating. And don't nobody care about that. You see? I'm dealing with straight up facts, showing people how, look, your people set up in a certain way. Yep, taxes in for the federal government. Yep, you got jobs. Yep. So you think you're getting a tax return? Yeah. People committing crimes, putting their kids, nephews, cousins on their taxes, not realizing if everybody sit down and have a real conversation of understanding, the people can come together and build a real community with some real dollars. You don't have to do nothing stupid. Behind real community, I mean computer labs, everything. How? And then once you taxes in for the federal government, now if that head know how to go and how can I say, campaign for monetary donations and campaign other investors, and not only have the people donating, it becomes astronomical. Why? Because you're doing not only one good, you're doing the good that's supposed to be done with your people. And the dollars that not only your people will be working, you'll be helping people get jobs, but then they'll understand, I'm not just giving my money to Uncle Sam and let it sit. I'm gonna help my organization. I'm gonna help my temple and school. Why? Because that's what I want to do. And that's how it becomes successful. No more, no extra. Just like that. Domino effect. And when a person think about it, you be like, damn, is that as simple? I say yes. Some of the things and achievements that we may think is astronomical are very are very simple, because once the mind comes together, once the people come together, once the understanding come together, once the synchronicity and the trust come together, the rest, it happens because the Creator is in the midst of this. How do I know the Creator is in the midst of what we're doing? Because I'm dealing with so many people that I ain't known since I was young. And I graduated with a lot of people, got a lot of family, and I love everybody just as much as they love me. And nobody have to be down with your mission. I tell everybody that. Nobody have to buy your books. Nobody have to believe none of the stuff you say. They just have to love you if that's your family or your friends. I understand that. The power of what I'm doing is all the people that I touch in my travels, on my own dime. All the brothers that I met on the internet when I used to be at work in my suit store in Tucson. All the people, all the 316 some people that purchased my books this year. That might be a small number to somebody, but to me, that's amazing. Something that I come up with in my mind, and people that's that interested, and professors and things like give me responses and be like, man, this is great. And give greatness and give blessingness to me and say, man, we want to see you do this. And I give them a tax exempt receipt. So that's the glory and the honor I have with this. And I always tell people when I do things, I say, yes, my work is personal, but it ain't that personal where I have to walk around angry. I have something that makes me proud. I have something that I have that gives me energy and gives me life. And I just know I have a gift, and I just want so bad to share with my people. And everybody don't have to accept your gift. Some people accept your gift on their deathbed. Some people will secretly tell you that you rock and right. Some people will secretly use what you say and use what you do secretly, which is all good. But wouldn't it be beautiful if we came out the shadows of the mist and we came together and we created something, and we be the vanguards, and we all have stake in something? And you say, look at our temple, look at our school, look at our library, look at our computer lab. all the stuff we can have in a community. This is what I'm saying. It can be taught the right way, you know, because everybody know I don't go against nothing. On Sunday, I have Sunday school. I teach biblical scriptures. I teach this. I have a degree in biblical history. I'm a Moor. That's where it stopped. So in all different so-called religious houses, you might call me a Sufi, you might call me a shaman, you might call me a sheikh, you might call me a high priest, you might call me a rabbi. That's just the chiefdom of the wisdom. And then I have to understand it because I'm under the triple roles. I have to understand all three religious rites. I have to understand the esoteric, the exoteric. I have to understand the metaphor. I have to understand all that, the analogy, the parables. I have to understand linguistics. I have to understand that. I have to understand connotation, denotation. I have to have lexicons. I have to be able to cross-reference things, the language. I have to know Greek, Koine Greek, all those things. I have to be able to have all the lexicons to make sure the language, the Syriac language, the Hebraic, all those things, you know, Aramaic. You have to have all these cross-references, etymology dictionaries, and this and that and the other to know and cross-reference things. Once you start cross-reference things and fact-checking things, as a scholar and as an educator, it's only one science. And that's all that I'm saying. And I think we have the right to be able to be educated with these tools. I think we have the right at this stage where we don't get caught up in spookism no more. And a person just saying the Bible says this. Because you can't say that with me. Because I can show you and I give it to you what the Bible says clearly. And I break it down. I always tell our young people and family it was a part of history to always destroy your mental thinking with some type of religious or historical dogma. When you ask your family and even my brothers and sisters that's on here today out of the sound of my mouth, research the Dum Diversus, research the Papal Bull, research the doctrine of the discovery, research the Spanish Inquisition, and then you tell me what was that about. It was a decree to what? To murder, to slaughter anything that was this color or anyone that went under the Christian Decretan dome. And this is what I'm telling us. And at this stage of our lives, we still let individuals, preachers, Islamic, whatever people think it's two different teachings. And I'm showing you it can't be if both of these are speaking about the same science and the same forefathers. Someone have to be off. Even when I go with people forefathers, they know that they were Moors. Even this history, I tell people, we from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood. I understand historicalness. I understand concepts and precepts and metaphors. I understand when you use biblical scriptures and in certain tools, you talk about hermetics and hermeneutics. I have a clear understanding of all these tools, but at the same time, if we're going to speak a biblical story, especially if we are people that have been subjugated, that have been called these things all through history, why can't we bring out the truth of the biblical scriptures from biblical history and world history? Because it's going to come together. This is the importance. When you say it's not important, it should be important to you. It should be important if you have a child and a baby. Why shouldn't it be? Why should you let your kid go around and be inferior or something, or feel it's something greater than I, or it's something greater than them, or they weren't created in the image of God, or to let them think that they some Negro, black, color, or African American slave and came over here on some boat as Negroes, or have them been educated on some fake 1619 theory. All of these things should be re-educated by who? Our scholars, our teachers. That's why the Bible says, family, woe to you lying preachers that lie to the people and scatter my people. You can't say his gospels if it's not in there, because Jesus didn't teach no peace and love. He spoke of the Torah. And so all I'm saying to my brothers and sisters and family and friends, when people say that we can't do anything, yes, we can. We are gifted with all the abilities. Why? Because if everybody's working, you are giving it away to Uncle Sam willingly. And everybody can agree to what I'm saying, no matter how we feel about the situation, just dealing with the facts of the matter. If any of us working and we're giving our money to Uncle Sam and we say we can't have this, we have to say yes, that's what's happening. And then I will ask you, well, what do you think your money is doing when it's going to Uncle Sam? Is it going to run the city? Is it going to run this and that and the other? A person will start making up things. And I say we can't make up things when we're dealing with manufactuals. I'm telling you the law, and you should want to cipher all of it, or at least a fraction of that, to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. How? To make sure those things can happen that we say we want to happen. And we all get a tax and receipt. And then things can really manifest. That's what I'm saying. And all rich people, the reason why they look for companies to donate and these organizations or they churches and things, because they don't want to give their money to Uncle Sam. That's why the Soprano Church, the Catholic Church, was so popular, was so big. Because why? Because them gangsters, they can donate their money to their organization. The organization can have all type of construction companies through the organization. Can't tell you who you can't hire. If the organization is getting donations and all this from all walks, all these areas, and it's a multi-million dollar organization, you can build your own religious community. Who gonna build the religion? Now, who gonna build the community? Your own people, I will hope. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Then I go to the religious laws. This is why I say the power of what I'm saying and what we can do before we waste everything and everything we took and reverse back. We have the power and the ability to do this. I try to share this with people, young people, entertainers, basketball players, young actors. I say, okay, you don't have an organization, you ain't a part of an organization, you don't want to be a part of an organization, so when it's all over, you can say, okay, this is what I put. Look, here we have acting classes. Where? At our building. Yes, we have acting classes. Boom, at our building. Why? Because this is ours. You telling all your other friends that got some, no disrespect, Jewish, European Jew as their money manager, and they just giving your money away. No, we going to donate here, and we going to have them give us a tax exempt receipt. That's what we need. That's how it's going to happen. Then you start seeing things changes. You start seeing around that infrastructure or the temple, the school, whatever you want to call it. And you see all these houses being refurbished in this area. And you start seeing the young people moving back. Why? Because now we're building up our community. Now we're talking about ownership, as I was teaching yesterday biblically. Now we're talking about ownership. Now we're talking about owning land. Now we're talking about taking our community back structurally. Because nobody don't want your community but developers that's going to push you out. So this is what I always say. So I know we doing it good here. Regardless of the little support of family and all that, like I say, I operate on positive energy. In the beginning, you will be hurt, you will be woken, you will be wanting your friends and family to why they not doing this, but maybe they're not into that. Some people, now I can say some people are into, buying things that they gonna make them rich. And I tell people a book is not gonna make you rich. I try to give you 1,000 kilos and it's money. That don't mean you're gonna get rich. That means some action gonna happen. So a book not gonna get you rich. And so I know a lot of people will buy those type of books before they'll buy books that talk about self-development or consciousness, to help them mentally, to help them spiritually, to help them look back at some things. Some of the things might inspire you to change how you live and to change how you eating. Some of the discipline that we really do. You be like, damn, I may be doing this wrong. Not to say I'm wrong, but the way I've been doing it is wrong. All the training that I do, all the dietitians, all the herbs that I do. I mean, I tell people, I don't know why they don't reach out. I'm no more special than you. I got too many results. My Mufti Dantes was damn near, 500 pounds? And he was like, man, she just give real results. Because everything that I do is real. What? Everything. All this stuff comes with it. So I talk about the dedication, the commitment, the communication, and the consistency. I know we can do this. And everybody know what I'm saying. When you look at it, you'll be like, yep, we can do this. Now, if we can, I just need my people's support. And I'm never afraid to ask, because I know we're going to get there. Because the work we're doing, and as it picking up, I want my family and friends to go with us. I want everybody to see this is something that we did. This is something that's simple, that's not going to hurt us. This is something that we need. I'm telling you, it's going to make a big difference. It's going to make a big difference in the world, especially when I teach the kids what need to be taught about who they are, and parents, how you sign. When I show them documents that parents may not see, like the SF 181 form pertaining to ethnicity, when I bring out Declaration of Human Rights, when I bring out so much stuff systematically that I have in lessons that I teach privately, it changes the dynamics of everything. The young kids be like, well, why these misnomer black teachers teaching us some African American history, teaching us about some roots? He said, why do our teacher talk about this required learning for them to watch some damn roots? And it was like, it ain't no such, it's fake. It come from a European. All that stuff. Ain't no Willie Lynch letter. All that stuff is fake. So why would we want to continue to pass that stuff down to our kids and have videos of people getting their lying self on TV talking about some Kunta Kinte with their ancestors and having videos of that and documentaries of these straight up lies? We just took this lies from a European named Harold Colander that wrote a book, African, and Negroes just made a whole propaganda scheme. I call that a whole Negro and a Eurocentric, Negrocentric and a Eurocentric propaganda play on some goddamn mess like that. Excuse my candor. That's why I'm saying the hypocrisy of who we are. We just take bull crap and pass it down, and people be like, "See, that's why we so messed up." But it's fake. Like it's not even real. So why would you even spread them lies to your kid? I'm telling you right now, you are lying to your kid, and you lying to yourself. It ain't real. Just like Willie Lynch letter, it ain't real. I love Farrakhan, but it ain't real. So if it ain't real, what can I say? What can I say? Did you sit down and come up with a scheme and say, these Negroes so stupid, I'm going to use this concept. They think it's real. Why? Because people wrote stupid songs or made a fake concept. I'm telling you it ain't real. No matter how nobody feel about that. This is what I'm telling us. We've been put down so much. We use things that's not even real. Like we crab in a bucket. Crabs don't go in a bucket. Somebody have to put a crab in a bucket. And in nature, crabs stack on top of each other and feed each other. So crabs don't go in a bucket. All these fake analogies, when I say, dude, that's not historical, that's not educational. That's why I tell people, I don't play with nobody. I'm not here to disrespect no one, but why can't a group of people do something for themselves in the Americas, which is the land of the free, the home of the brave, that have religious rights, that have all these human rights, and everything that I'm saying is nothing new. I can go back in all law and history and pull everything that I'm saying out right in our face. And we still gonna hold this vernacular or this language that's synonymous to slavery as Negro, Black, Color, and African American. Why would a person in their right mind, why would a person that call himself an educator and a liberator for the people continue to use words that's synonymous to slavery? Tell me why. Tell me why. Why wouldn't we want to talk about real history that can easily be illuminated, that can easily be spread? Why we don't want to talk about real Quranic history and real biblical history if we're going to talk about certain characters of the Bible? Let's just show who they is. Let's just show who Saint Mark is, of the Tetrarchs. Let's just show who the first century church fathers are. Let's just show it. Let's deal with it, and I can show you that the misnomer black man is the father of civilization proved by the Bible alone. So how is that hate? How is that slander if the Bible can prove this? If I don't have to go nowhere outside the Bible, how can you be mad at that? I did this in academia. This is no slander. This is no hate. But if we're going to say this is that and this, and then we're going to start dealing with things and dealing with geographical areas, if we're going to be dealing in that specific context, then okay, well, let's do it. Because then you can go right to the Russian icons by Vladimir Ivanov. When you look at those icons, what icons do you think they are? You tell me. After you look at those, if you have the pleasure to have the book like I do, you will be like, oh, damn, I know who these icons are. I know you do. So then the games will be over. You don't have to go no further. You can go in the Catholic church and ask them, can you go behind those curtains in the back and see those gold chairs and all those pictures of the Messiah, and you tell me what it looked like. And you come back to me and have a conversation. They know. I'm telling you. So, there's no slander. There's no hate. What I'm telling our brothers and sisters, what I'm telling y'all, it need to be resurrected. This is in the halls that's locked up, that keep us subjugated. That's why, isn't it ironic that they always put certain characters in our face to promulgate some stuff? Man, I can say, I'll give y'all a small analogy. You have these so-called, I'll say Islamic or Christian figures, but I'll say Islamic figures. When a person like myself, that's an elder, I know how a lot of these people were when they be in these groups, like Scientology, which is no disrespect. I know where all this stuff come from. I be knowing. And so when people come with that, I'll be like, dude, you can't do that. Because then you come with the white and the black, you come with the white man education and all that. But I know the play. Like, I know the playbook. And so when they come with the cuckoo, I come with the old documents. Everything I talk about, they know. The elders know, unless they Freemasons. Or unless previously, which a lot of them were, on Scientology. Which is no disrespect to nobody. It's just what it is. Because everything I'm talking about is old, and you got people that's educators, and you got people that look like me, and we talk about current, that be on TikTok and all these things. Why haven't they talked about it? No simple things like that. And everybody talk about reparations. Why is everybody getting woe to sleep, talking a whole bunch of nonsense? Why? And I tell everybody, this stuff is simple. It's a reason why. Because there's so much money to make off stupid Negroes. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok to make Negroes look stupid. If I hold this one book up and start showing y'all showing y'all something, I gotta show the back of this book right here called Without Sanctuary. I'll get shadow banned. Just for teaching, just for showing that book and what happened in real life. I'll get shadow banned like I did from Facebook for 30 days. I don't think I got shadow banned from YouTube just for me showing this book. So if me showing this book, they say it's too graphic. So you telling me titties, booty, and all that ain't too graphic? Brothers getting their head blew off, but I can't show that? That should be a clear example of these things and what's promulgated for us. You see on social media all the stupidity, all the fake, all the stuff that's not even true. And people be posting that. You see that? That's so heavy. We say happy birthday to celebrities. We won't even say happy birthday to our own families. This is the stuff that I be saying. This is the stuff that I be saying, y'all. So, as I leave with my brothers and sisters, man, I hope we come to the day that we can sit down and have these conversations, especially for our babies and especially for what's going on. Because we steady going down, 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 because we don't know who we are in history. We don't know who we are in spirituality and historical books. We letting these preachers and these other people from religious sects separate us. And it's so sad that we continue to fall in that trap. It's so sad to think that, especially the brothers and sisters that work, and how many pastors stay in the community that they minister to? Most of these pastors will never live in a parsonage in their neighborhood. I mean, especially what's going on today with these pastors and things, they don't even like the people. But that's a whole nother story. But what I'm saying is we can do a good. And people can do a good with the finances that you have, with the time that you have. So once again, I thank everybody for listening to me, taking time out of our day. And like I said, I continue to have joy. But, you know, I don't have the answers, you know, to when or how. I just know when the time comes, I can talk about this time that I have here with you. I can talk about all these moments, you know, to people when they say, well, what's the key to success? I say all those moments, and people be like, what? I say all those moments, and they like, what moments? What are all those moments? What did it take you to get where you are? Whatever your success level is. All those things in the midst of that is your key to success. whatever it takes, whatever it drives, whatever the education, whatever the financial investment, whatever the spiritual investment, whatever the personal development investment, all those things are your road to success. And that's what I try to tell young people. You need all those for success. You need a personal development. You need all that. You need a spiritual advisor. You need accountability. You need all those things to stay in line. You need to be part of a family, a brotherhood. You need that. And this is what I'll be telling people and parents. We keeping that away from our kids and we sending them out in the world without a tribe. Because the parents don't have a tribe. Because I think that's a missing element from us. It's something that it's nowhere our kids can go to and really, really get some real connection. It got to be a special day or Black History. Well, Black History is slave history. Or you got to go to Job Corps or something special to get any type of special skill. Or you got to have advanced study to get any real history or get any real civics. Or you got to go to a special school to learn about finance and learn about microeconomics and macroeconomics. No, you don't. No, you don't. I'm right here. You get all that with me. Your kid want to be trained and all that. I'm right here. We're going to train other people to learn how to work with our kids that's specially developed. We're gonna have our own training. Us. We're going to get those grants. We're going to have our own senior center, our daycare. Who? Us. What are we talking about? And all the kids and the women and the young girls and the young men that are going through those type of crowds, they're going to be able to go through us. We're going to have barbershops. We're going to have a workout. We're going to have that. We're going to have classes. Why? Because I have it. This is what I be telling people. Like, what you mean, how? Because I have it. All this come with this. This is community. Kids that know how to make clothes, kids that's popular, we're gonna welcome that. I welcome all these gifts and these crafts. And so that's just what I wanted to share with my brothers and sisters. As I tell everyone, I just always feel good and I want to share this with my people. So if there's anything that anybody need, y'all have my number, y'all can hit me up. Please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube channel at Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. I'm going to continue to come to y'all each day in my spare time, to give you these teachings because it's dear to my heart as I continue to, get compensated for what I do in real life. I come on here on my scheduled times, Saturday and Sunday, which I hope people come on our Temple and School page, and I hope people inquire. I hope people get some literature, get some clothing, and I hope some people will become donors and, continue to help us get our first brick and mortar in St. Louis and the city of Flint, Michigan, where a lot of my people are, and see what we do in real life. It's a lot that's going to come with what we do, and we can change the world. And the one way we can change the world off top is our library. Our library is so extensive, it'll be amazing. We have computer labs, everything for the people. And like I tell my people, it's so much, how can I say, opportunity in St. Louis where my Mufti Dantes live. And it's so much opportunity in my city of Flint to where it'll blow your mind. It's nice buildings, AKA churches, that's just sitting because the population have left the city. So you have churches on the south side, on the north side, off Corona Road, available, 100,000, 200 grand. But once you make deals, it's just gonna sit. Those what I call in real estate and in business specialty property or specialty sales. It's only going to be a certain type of individuals or a certain type of group that's going to get those type of properties. And so it's room for what? Negotiation, especially in the city of Flint. And so when those opportunities come like that, you can create things in the city and bring things back. You can get things that's in that location and get things back and have that community. So that's what I'm saying. I know how things can happen and you can change the dynamics and you can never be shut down. Why? Because the money that we're giving to Uncle Sam is going to be used, deciphered, and everybody get a taxes and receipt and nothing changes. And now we own something. We're right in our community. We plant our flag. We own something. We open. We got counseling. We got everything. Now we have something. Nobody can shut down. Everybody feel good about it because we should. That's how simple it can be. And so once again, I thank everybody again. I see everybody tomorrow for workout in the morning. And if y'all need anything, y'all know how to get with me. Email me, whatever you need. But like I said, we ain't nothing without the people. And we're going to continue to grow. But once again, growth in this situation is only as contingent as the people. It's contingent as far as the creator and the people take it. And I know we can go so far. I know that. I know we can. And we're going to do it. And I want you to be a witness of it, not a spectator, but a participator. Peace and light.